Um, could be a pair of David Swallow underpants.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
sign me up.
yeah, well, that's in the private collection. I don't actually have them published, but I do have a private collection of certain items that items for the more discerning collector.
Mhm.
Uh,
Well, it's
okay.
roomy and as comfortable as the shirts, and you definitely didn't pay me to say this.
Moving swiftly on. Okay, so I've got a load of questions. Um, if you feel uncomfortable with any question, or you don't, just say fuck off, basically, and
Yeah.
that will be fine. That will be. I will understand that you don't want to ask that question. I mean, they're not overly personal, but what we do and work and our lives, especially since well, you do a lot of presenting. I present occasionally, but we're on social media, and so people know things about us, and we, you know, convey certain aspects of our private lives publicly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like
Yeah.
open book for better or for worse, just usually.
Okay. So, see, this is what happens. I just forget what I'm doing. What I will do first, and this is, as I say, you don't have to pick the from under each of the characters, but now share. Now, let me know. All right, I'm going to do it this way. I can quickly. No, you're not supposed to see that. Okay,
I
so I don't think you saw it anyway. And
I can.
what makes it worse is that when I have the screen sharing on, it
Mhm.
doesn't. I have to actually push a button in order to see
Oh, perfect.
see
We've
my
always
taskbar, which is really annoying. Okay,
we can
so
always find folks.
yes, so there we are. So this is the what we named as the Rose Gallery. It's just an aperitif to our further conversations. So first thing I ask, and it's not a competition. It doesn't really matter if you do or do not, but can you name the people on this Rose Gallery?
Let's
So from
see.
top left,
That that individual is I don't know their face, so I'm not sure who that is.
that's how can you not know Dr. Swallow's face? I use it all the time. That was him when he was in Austria on holiday or something. I'm wearing an Austrian hat.
Maybe
Uh,
it's
the
the
next
hat for me.
person,
That's Stuart Hay, if I'm not mistaken.
no, it's not. That's
Oh,
that's Ian Lloyd. He does try to look a lot like Stuart Hay at certain times. I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, I think he himself has a fine visage, and he should just accept the fact. But no, that's Ian Lloyd, and that was taken at from CSUN 2024, I think.
yeah,
Uh,
never
the
been.
next person you can't not know.
No, that's Mr. Lauke.
Yeah, Patrick Law. Well, the way I pronounce his name, I don't think is correct, but I just always pronounce it that way, and I say Lorcan, but it is Lauker or something, or Lorke or something. That was from T-Pack. See, I just got loads of photos, so it gives me an excuse to put photos up, especially of Dave and Pat, and also quite a few of Lloydie these days.
Yeah.
That was in T-Pack 2024, I think, in where was it? In Seville. Very
Mm,
nice.
fancy.
Uh, I'm sure that you recognize the next person, but maybe
It,
you don't.
it's the Good Witch, Glenda.
Yes, yes. Well, the goodness is debatable, but the which part? No, I sorry. I always say these things about people, which are untrue. Yeah, it is Glenda Sims. And the next person.
I honestly don't know, and that's
That
bothering.
is Shelley. That is Cynthia Shelley.
Hmm.
So when I release the interview, you'll be able to recognize it because you've got over an hour. What about the second row, first person on the second row?
They look vaguely familiar, but I'm not sure. I have that shirt
Okay,
that
so
Alex made that shirt.
that's a guy called James Craig, also
Oh,
known as
geez,
James
yeah.
Craig.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
James Craig. I just don't know what he looks
yeah.
like.
One of the giants of accessibility at Apple.
Mhm.
Um, and the next person,
I don't know that person.
now that is Ted. I can't remember his second name. It's well, it evades me. I do know it, but it's Ted, and he works at Intuit. He
Oh,
used to
Ted,
work at
Ted
he,
Drake. Yep.
Ted Drake, exactly, and he's very much involved in the CSUN organizing speakers for CSUN stuff like that. Yeah, so that's Ted Drake. Thank you.
Yeah.
The next person, see, I know there's some, you know, ringers in here.
Yeah, it's funny, just like, like some of these people I don't know by face, but I know them by their writing. So it's like funny
Yeah,
to map it back. That's Jared, right?
Jared Cohen, yes. I I've known Jared for years now. He used to work at Wells Fargo and TPG used to have Wells Fargo as a customer,
Hmm.
and I met him through that. But yeah, we always have a drink and it's stuff at CSUN and wherever I see him, which is usually at a conference. And he's going to be a future participant or interviewer. So there's something to look forward to. He's a really nice guy, very cluey. I've noticed he's been doing a number of, he's got like online training that he's been doing through
Yeah.
some, yeah, I can't remember what the name of the organization is, but yeah. So I've noticed that. And do you know the next person?
Is that Jenny, I think? No?
No,
Okay, then I don't know.
it is one of the owners. I'll give you a clue. It's one of Glenda's bosses, big bosses.
Oh my gosh. I'm blanking on
P
PD, right? Or
Preeti, yeah, Preeti Kumar.
yep, okay.
And I had a meeting with her about something or other at CSUN last year, and I took that shot. The next one,
That's Natalie.
yeah, that's Natalie. She's a future hot seater,
Mhm.
and well, everybody knows this guy. Nobody wants to know, but everybody knows him.
I am cursed with the knowledge of recognizing that face. That's Adrian.
Yes, yeah. He looks very like he looks very thoughtful there.
I
Um,
would say more like he looks like he's trying to figure out how to beat you up. But
maybe. Yeah, well, that was at Accessory TOC, son. Sorry, Accessory TO conference in where was it? In Toronto. That was last year.
yeah,
But I used to work with Adrian in years gone by, and we've remained firm friends ever since. And yeah, he seems to have everybody seems to know him. The next person, this is one of those people that you may not know.
this is killing me because this is somebody else I also recognize the face, and I don't know the name off the top of my head. So please.
Well, I mean, when his name first comes to me, it's Humberto Eco, but it's not. It's actually Joe Humbert,
Okay.
and he's someone I also used to work with that is involved in. He specializes in mobile accessibility, with native applications,
Hmm.
and he is involved at the W3C with the development of the mobile accessibility task force, the work they're doing. So I've got a number of pictures of him because he likes some of the t-shirts that I made, especially ones involving Dr. Swallow.
Got
So
it.
Don't ask me why, but he does. I'll show, and they are publicly available. There's one about
I mean,
yeah.
his check's
Anyway,
clear, so it's all
yeah,
good.
exactly. And then there, do you know the next person? I didn't
I've
recognize him when I met him.
I've got to confess, the next three, their faces look familiar, but I don't know their names. So,
That's absolutely fine. I didn't reckon. I was sitting next to this guy in the middle at the bar, and it's only because he started to talk that I realized who it was. It's a guy called Ricky Honsman, who
oh,
I
Ricky, yeah,
managed,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, for years and works at TPG and is an Australian guy. I've known him for years and years, but I didn't recognize him in the flesh, so to speak.
So
Uh,
like, I subscribe to Ricky's RSS feed, and I've definitely cooked meals he's put out for his recipes. So I
oh,
like to think
really?
he has good recipes too.
Yeah, well, I'm unaware of his recipes, but I know like he's one of the people at TPG that I enjoy his articles, and one of the things I liked about the TPG I blog was that it had good technical
Mhm.
articles, and it wasn't well. Originally, the TPG blog was just technical stuff, and then it bifurcated, and there's a marketing blog, and there's a technical blog. But I really and the technical blog is still that, and so you've got good people writing good, insightful information, sharing it with the community, which is what we like. And Ricky is one of those people that does it.
Oh yeah.
Uh, then, so this is not a particularly good photo. This was the we were at Seaside now, the one I'm talking about now. This is Sarah Horton, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, I do you probably know her name because she's written a number of books.
Yeah, just incredible writer. Anything
Yeah.
she puts out, I'm there.
Well, that's Sarah Horton again. We used to work together for years. Uh, I think she works at some university now, but she got married. I don't know if they got married. Maybe they did. But anyway, she is her partner is David Sloan,
Mhm.
who I also used to work with and still works at TBG. Um, that picture was actually from we were at a reception. I hate to say this now, but it was well, I don't hate to say it, but because it was a audio eye reception
Mhm.
at CSUN. I mean, essentially, it was a drinks in Mike's room. So we were there, and for some reason, I've got pictures of it to prove it, but she was wearing David Swallow's shoes at some point and dancing in the
Oh,
shoes. These shoes are huge. I've also got pictures of him trying to put on her shoes, which are about four sizes too small. It was an interesting night. This was the same night. Lloydie was there, and he'd had a few, and he fell over and like just mashed his face into the I it was high up. It was like it was on the 20th floor or something. And I was concerned because the door was open onto the balcony. I was concerned he was going to go out and topple over, but he didn't. But it was yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
so that's Sarah, and the last person is actually probably most people don't know him. That is a guy called Shane Paciello, son of Mike Paciello.
Mm.
Shane works for Level Access or something. He's a project manager. He used to be a project manager at TPG, and I really enjoyed his company. And I saw that photo. I thought I'll add Shane because it helps with my memory of these things.
Yeah.
So we have a mixed bag of people there that you know and don't know, but this is well, I would say there's a cross section of people that are involved in accessibility, but also it's yeah. I noticed there's a lot of blokes involved in accessibility. There is also a fair amount of women, but also basically white blokes. Like you and I,
Hmm.
except that you were younger and better looking than I. But
Oh,
uh,
flattery gets you everywhere, Steve.
yeah. So anyway, so I will let's get to the meat of it now. Once we this was like the icebreaker.
Hmm.
Hopefully you're feeling comfortable. I will stop that sharing, and we're back to you and I. And what happened before was that I accidentally flashed my questions, but anyway, we can start. So I'm not going to show you the questions because that's part of the so
The mystery, yeah. I
part of the magic of being an interviewer. So, Eric, what the fuck is going on in your country?
didn't. Yeah. Well, we're in the like I think the twilight years of a late capital imperialist system, and the assholes have climbed over the walls and installed themselves in power. And yeah, you're looking at probably the death of the American Empire.
Yeah, no, I have that feeling myself, and but I'm very much an audience member. I'm sure a lot of the people in the US are audience in that it may not, affect them in their local area, for example, but it's affecting lots of people around them. And then there's those people that actually live in the places where, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Unfortunately, like the last however many years has made America's business a lot of people's business, and unfortunately, I think we're reaping what we sow here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So has it how has it affected you personally, as in, I mean, where you live? Are is there ice raids, etc., or is it just more that you know it's happening to friends and people that you don't know?
Yeah, I live in a very progressive area. Uh, Despite that, there have been ICE raids, notable like a kidnapping of a student from one of the universities nearby, and that was towards the beginning of this nightmare. They're continuing. There's some pretty good response networks in place, but we are. I live in Massachusetts in the United
Yeah,
States. You're typically one of the targets of the current administration's ire because we tend to put up resistance to their illegal and oftentimes unconstitutional mandates.
yeah,
And so that's great. I love that our politicians, for the most part, are actually doing what we need them to do. We're starting to develop kind of more local response networks on the state level, including creating an alternate network to the CDC, which has been compromised. The mayor of Boston, Michelle, is amazing in terms of that. So it's one of those things. I don't like the snow, but I love where I live.
that's what. So you live in Boston,
Just outside of Boston.
because that's where Sarah Horton and David Sloan live, I
Oh,
think.
I should hit him up. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they do because they live in some sort of like, can't remember the name, but some suburb that sounds, sort of cool. Um, and yeah, so anyway,
yeah.
uh, um, yes. So how has this affected you personally? I mean, what
Oh, I'm
is the, you know,
I'm incredibly depressed, honestly. Like
yeah,
I was raised Jewish, and so part of that is like a very thorough education on how fascism comes to rise and leads to things like ethnic cleansings. And history does not repeat, but it sure as fuck rhymes. And, the
yeah,
fact that everybody has like low-key capitulated to a monstrous bully when it's like history has proven the exact thing you want to do is defy them and not grant them this kind of power. Uh,
yeah.
drives me up the wall. I'm oftentimes just screaming at my inability to affect change on a level that like would change this.
And how has this affected your personal life? I mean, you were, as I understand it, you're in a relationship, and you think that you don't have children, do you?
I've got a dog, but
You got a dog. That's problem enough.
yeah,
Um, I'm not advocating that you have children, but it makes life more complicated with children. Somebody was Pat was talking about. Well, this is not online, but was was chatting to me the other day about the his son was involved in a presentation or a thing at school where they were talking about AI, and but it was all very positive. They had a very positive spin on the future and AI, and I was just thinking, well, well, obviously that doesn't gel with what my feelings are about it, my understanding, but also for kids, I was just thinking, well, you can't tell them the truth. You can't tell them your truth anyway. You can't tell them that AI absolutely sucks and it sucks huge dog balls all over the place, and it's not a force for good. But
yeah,
if you tell me, you don't want to, sort of, you don't want to sort of like make them lose all hope in life.
yeah.
It's
I think yeah, it's one of those things where it's like if you want to foster like curiosity in a way that's like, I guess you as a parent would seem like positive. I don't know, like I feel a little uncomfortable because it's well out of my area of expertise, but like you could
yeah,
leave the
but
little you can leave the little
it's
breadcrumbs, yeah, to for them to follow.
everything's outside my area of expertise, so don't
Yeah,
worry about it.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You thought we were to talk about accessibility, didn't you?
Yeah. No,
Well,
so my partner's a teacher, and we talk about this a lot, or this kind of thing, where it's like there's a certain degree as like an authoritative figure over children, where you're in for a penny, in for a pound. Like you're gonna instruct them on how to like navigate through the world, whether you like it or not. So like,
yeah.
how can you equip them to succeed? And part of that is like, it's the same thing that like journalists struggle with for no good reason, which is like the myth of impartiality, which is like, what does that
Yeah.
mean? There's no such thing.
They
So
don't
there's
seem to struggle much in the States with that. Well, they don't
yeah,
struggle over here with it much or either.
yeah. I'm gonna pick up my dog who is whining. One second.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Hey, bub. Ah. So she's very needy when it's winter and she's cold.
Where is she?
Oh,
Can
she's right
can
here. This is chicken.
Hey, chicken. What type is she? Cavapoo?
Yep, Havanese poodle. She's tragically shortened to Havapoo, which
Ah, all right.
yep. She's a rescue, like three and change.
Yeah. Well, we paid like 800 quid for our dog. This was 2018.
Hmm.
But she's had so much illness that it's just, yeah.
Yeah,
The cost to us is dwarfed, but she's part of the family, so we have to well, not have to, but we want to look after her and
yeah,
keep her happy and well as she possibly can. I mean, I love dogs. I often say this, and I'll say it again: dogs are the best people. Um,
yeah. No, I mean,
okay,
like you say,
so
how's my mental health? Like one of the she's a load bearing part of my support structure.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I just yeah, because as I said, was saying to you earlier that my dog Lola's been ill of late, and it just really affect like the thought of her being so ill and worrying about her passing away. It just really got me down. I mean, it got us all down, got my wife down too. The kids, yeah, live on a different planet, I think. but they're still, but it was just so depressing. So I was so happy that she, was able, because she just likes to go to the park and run around and be an idiot, just like she's got a pea brain, I'm sure, but what is in that pea is a lot of love.
Yeah, it's great to get you out of your own head. Like
Yeah,
a little green area where I live, and like same thing, like just taking her there to smell and romp around is such a good antidote to like doom scrolling on my phone and
yeah,
just, marinating in the things I already know that are bad.
yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, yeah. To be honest, I wouldn't like to be anybody in the States at the moment. Even those people that that have a comparatively sheltered life compared to the others. But I just the sort of shit that you see on people being disappeared, just people being abused, and for sport, which is essentially what it seems to be about.
Yeah, the
It's
cruelty is the point. Is
performative,
yeah.
performative cruelty. Now, okay, well, moving swiftly on from there because unfortunately, I tend to ask depressing questions, so I'm sorry.
No, it's
Um,
refreshing because like another thing that feeds the depression is like you wouldn't know the fuck this is going on at work and
yeah,
spend 40 to 6, let's be real, it's the US 60 hours plus at work and like you wouldn't think any of this shit is going on. Everyone likes to like pretend.
so you don't talk about with your colleagues, or it's just not?
Oh, I talk about it with my colleagues, but like, the civility politics of it all is just
Yeah,
infuriating. It's like you're just pretending like everyone isn't living, depressed and terrified, or if
yeah,
God help
yeah.
you.
And soldier on. It's like the English saying about the stiff upper lip,
Yeah.
regardless of what the fuck is. And it's like that meme that we always see about the the person, well, the animal sitting there drinking their morning coffee and saying, everything's fine and places burning around them. Yeah, it's that idea. Um, so I'll move on to the next question, which is lived experience. How do you view your own intersection with disability? See
Yeah,
if we got back onto a
that's a good question.
subject that you may feel more confident with.
Yeah, it's changed throughout the years. Like I started, and I think like as a preface, like we live in a deeply ableist and eugenicist culture, and so like with that, you're kind of born into thinking usually like you don't really question your disabled identity unless you're made to. Um, and like one really good thing about kind of like reading up more about disability justice and that kind of space is like exactly how to untangle those views. Um, and so like originally I kind of was like, well, I don't really identify as disabled. And then like one of the first kind of instructive moments is like, well, you'll wear glasses there, buddy, which is, kind of the
Yeah,
shallow end of the pool, but it's like that's become so normalized that we don't question it, where like I take these off, I legally can't drive.
yeah,
And here QED. And then like I talked about it in my Accessibility Toronto talk, where kind of recently I've done a lot of soul searching and like there's a lot of traits there that are like present that are on the like neurodivergent end of things.
yeah.
I haven't done the official like evaluations because I'm terrified of the current
You haven't
CDC.
got the
Uh,
diagnosis. Yeah,
yeah, because I think that'll put me on a list, which will throw me in a camp if things don't go pear-shaped.
yeah. I probably with your output, they'll probably put you in the camp anyway.
Oh, I'm already
Anybody
off.
with
And
any
for
independent thinker of any type will be
yeah,
scooped up. So
yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just I think having that framework to sort of question those sorts of things, and because I think a little bit of that might have been just like some subconscious denial. But like I think it's pretty clear at this point, one thing I don't mind chatting about is like I definitely have aphantasia. And I
which is
like the inability to form mental pictures. So like
I know
I
somebody else who's got that. Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
I always thought it was like a narrative conceit, but I'm like it's like, oh yeah, no, like I don't have like these vivid, imaginative, daydream sequences.
yeah,
It turns people just do that, and like, if I want to like conjure the mental picture of an apple, say, like that takes work, that takes focus, and like it's very like transient. Like if I don't maintain that concentration, like it just kind of fades to black. And that's just how I've always been. I just never really stopped to question if that was like, not the norm, I
yeah.
guess.
So you see that as a disability?
I think it's gets into it's definitely a neurodivergent trait,
Yeah. But
which
yeah, but again, is neurodiversion necessarily a disability? I don't know. I mean, it's
I think it's under the larger umbrella of like a disability.
umbrella. Yeah.
Yeah,
It definitely does create barriers. I mean, I one of my daughters is has ADHD or and is autistic, and I definitely see that as being problematic for her at certain times in her life because just the way that she interacts with people.
yeah, yeah. And I definitely like there's some other tells in that kind of camp as well. But like the flip of it is like I think a lot of where I am and who I am is kind of leaning into those traits as well.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword for sure. But I don't know. I recently got diagnosed with diabetes. That's definitely a disability, but like
So
a lot of the yeah. Hmm?
what sort of diabetes do you have?
Type 2?
Yeah, I recently got um, diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
High five. Do you got the little machine?
No, what little I haven't got any, like, I don't need, it's, age related. Um, and at this stage, I don't need to take any medication. I've just that they put me into some support group, and it's got an app with it. And what I'm trying to do is lose weight by changing my diet and continue to do light regular exercise.
Yeah, yeah. I have a continual glucose monitor, CGM. It's like a
Ah,
little bug that lives on your arm, and it just has a little needle that samples your blood sugar level and makes your phone scream at you if you eat too much cake.
really? So it helps you to moderate what you intake, but
Yeah,
you don't have to have you don't have to take insulin or anything for it yet.
yeah. No, thank God I don't have to inject insulin right now. Knock on
Yeah.
wood. Because like that's another whole mess in the States, which is like our private healthcare.
Yeah, yeah. I've talked about that with
Yeah,
both Cynthia and Crystal
yeah,
because yeah, it's just that's something that's alien to me because I've always lived in a country that has universal healthcare. Well,
yeah,
I started off living in Australia and the UK, and it's just in Europe, it's some form of universal healthcare. It's not exactly the same. Some of it is managed insurance, but yeah, nobody goes broke from
yeah.
not having healthcare.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like people refusing an ambulance because it would put them
Yeah.
irreparably in debt. Like we as a society should have stopped and said, all right, some people need to go to jail. Like,
Yeah. Well, it's just that it's just something that I'm not anti, capitalist um, in the sense, but some things just shouldn't be run for a profit motive.
Mhm.
Health being one of them,
Yeah,
education being another, um, government being another. But it's yeah, it's definitely a slippery slope. What was I going to say? So I know you've had mental health issues. I mean, I have suffered from myself from depression for most of my adult life, and I take medication for it. I made, no secret of that. I, I don't know whether I see it, in terms of disability, it's just something that makes me me.
yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say like a lot of the things that I like kind of consider under that larger disability umbrella, like we don't kind of consider the classic kind of forms of disability. Like I'm not in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I have what is it? You are what you see. I have low vision, but like not to the point where it impedes, my day to day. Um, those are kind of the classic archetypes. But like yeah, like I have depression as well. I manage it with medication as well as therapy. Been
I did
pretty,
therapy, but I haven't. Tell you what made a big difference for me was that, or getting older, it seems that things would seem, because I used to have really bad anxiety all the time as well. Occasionally, I had to take, well, I take anxiolytics, antidepressant medication, but I used to have to also top it up with some Valium or some, diazepam type things on occasion because it was so the anxiety was so bad. But that hasn't happened to me in the last couple of years, which is great.
that's awesome. Yeah, like, and that's the other end of it is like I firmly believe in destigmatizing it, about talking about it, and like that's another
Yeah,
one, generational notions around disability, which is like, we've gone from oh gosh, Homer just had an article with the name for it. But basically, like, you sequester your weird aunt away because they're, you know, not like us. And that's generally shifted to like understanding what the heck is going on. And like the only way that really changes is if we like collectively kind of talk about it. And so like we have
yeah,
more sure support to
yeah,
talk.
and normalize it, I suppose, or just or bring it,
Yeah.
destigmatize it is probably a better word than normalize. Yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't wear it on my sleeve, so to speak, but I, you know, I do. I don't hide it because I know that there's lots of other people that are in a similar situation. So,
Yeah. I can't like more than I have fingers and toes, like people I've talked to that I've like worked with or am friends with that like didn't feel comfortable talking about it, so like messaged me on the side and like
yeah,
getting rid of that stigma, I think is really big. Um, yeah,
yeah. Well, one of the ways that I tried to do that was that, well as just mentioning it I created a shirt with sertraline on it with a pill, 50 milligram, 100 milligram, and the number of I got quite a few people that I knew, sort of responding saying that's great and wanting, they themselves take that because I don't, especially with mental health, there's a lot of stigma about actually taking medication.
yeah,
And I say, well, look, because I was at the point 30 years ago, I was at the point where I was feeling so bad and my life was just so shit that I either had a choice. I was on these old style antidepressants, which didn't really help during my 20s. And then I was just getting worse and worse and worse. Like I felt so bad, like I couldn't stand up without having severe anxiety. And so I thought, something's got to change or I'm going to top myself.
yeah,
And I went and saw the doctor, and he said, "Try these," and which was at the time was a new class of drugs or a newly available class of drugs in Australia called sertraline. And from the moment I took them, not the moment, from the, I woke up the next day after first taking them and I just felt better. I didn't feel, like happy, but I
yeah,
felt able to cope with my existence.
yeah. I fought um, getting a prescription for a really long time. Like I was like, I think this is something I can work through with therapy. And like two thoughts here. One, um, the quality of therapists are unfortunately unevenly distributed. And a thing that fortunately some really good advice somebody told me, which is like, if it's not working, fire your therapist. It's nothing personal. You have nothing to prove to them. It's just business. And find a better one if you have that privilege or the ability to.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean,
The
you're
right one.
paying them.
Yeah,
If they're not providing a good service, then you tell them to
exactly.
bugger off and find somebody else. I mean, I think that talking therapy is, or therapy in general, is an important part of helping you to, to refocus how you're feeling about yourself and etc. But um, yeah, I don't think I could have done it without the drugs.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like the better therapist I found, like eventually was like candid and they're like, I think we've reached a point where like you need chemical intervention. And I talk a lot about like that disabled identity in the abstract, but like I was holding on to this like really rigid idea of self, which is like I alone can like mentally force my way through this sort of thing. And like I had a lot of hesitancy around taking on a prescription to deal with like the depression and the anxiety. And like she led me to a framework that's a little bit more adaptive, which dovetails quite nicely into like a larger disabled identity conversation of like, what is me? Why do I draw
Mm.
these artificial lines? Why am I so afraid of these things? Can I interrogate that? And same as you, like, we started on a low dose, but like it just evened things out a little bit more that allowed me
Yeah,
to
gave me a
dig.
fighting chance. That's what it did,
Yeah,
gave me the opportunity to have some perspective. Whereas before I was living this fucking nightmare that never went away.
yeah,
And I was able to step back from that a bit.
yeah,
As I say, I mean, it didn't, I still had anxiety and still suffered depression. But over the years and before that, and along with that, I also saw a psychiatrist and therapist and things like that. But I haven't for years,
yeah.
which you can probably tell. That's why I've turned into some sort of mad old goat or something. But anyway,
Well, another thing they don't tell you is like sometimes it's just a sometimes thing. Like
yeah,
people see therapists for a little bit to work through something. Sometimes they see them for their entire life. It depends on your need. But like we just don't collectively talk about this shit. And it like drives me up the
no.
wall. It's like,
Oh, well, we're talking about it now,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you go to a dentist if your tooth hurts, you go
though.
to see a proctologist if your ass hurts. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done both.
yeah.
Yeah, so at various periods in my life. Yeah. I,
Yeah, like that's another layer to it, which is like, especially if you come up, I think, in like computer science, like you're made to believe that your brain, like your body is this like little like mech suit for your brain, which is like this perfect, platonic ideal of like cognition and like beautiful ideas flow forth into the world, and you just happen to have to like walk around and live in a body and, eat food to keep it going. The real truth is like the brain body connection is very fucking real, and like you're as much a product of like your physical body as much as you are like the thoughts, and like turns out oops, they're interrelated. And so like
yeah,
again, like it's part of that stigma I think around like your body is a part of you for better or for worse, and you got to live in it. And so like I guarantee you, if you have a hemorrhoid and you're suffering the pain of it, you're going to be a completely different person until you get those symptoms addressed. So
yeah.
like yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I was going to say I'll cut that bit out, but fuck it, I won't. It's just part of the conversation. Uh, Moving swiftly on yet again. Uh, how has your work life been affected by the war on woke? Do you, as in, anti-DEI, just the whole thing about, in the States especially, but also in other places.
Yeah.
Sort of deprioritizing accessibility or disability related issues, deprioritizing any issues not really related to adult white men.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely been effects. Um, your classic like let's rebrand this and not talk about it directly. I've seen that come down the pike through how we talk about certain things. Microsoft, which is our parent company, 86th their annual diversity reports, which is I feel cowardly. Um,
And you think that this was a direct result of the change in political climate, government, whatever?
Oh, undoubtedly.
Yeah,
Um, Thank God the European Accessibility Act exists because we do
yeah.
business in Europe, and turns out, you know,
I was t talking to Cynthia about that, but just like the carrot versus the stick with accessibility, and people sort of just, some people will say, oh, they don't like the idea of having laws around or having it codified. I think it's great because it actually does make people sit up and listen and make people actually do things more than people make, organizations, companies take it seriously.
yeah, I think it's one of those things where to me the value has always been intrinsic, but turns out at a certain point, and I know you know this, like you need to appeal to a higher authority, which is
Yeah,
usually law. And it sucks if you wind up there, but like at the same time, these laws exist for a reason, and that's because a lot of people who have a direct like quality of life impact for the lack of accessibility spent their precious time on this planet
yeah,
pushing said laws. So
yeah.
like they exist for a reason, and I'm here as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, as I say, I mean, I'm totally comfortable with laws, and I actually appreciate them because they actually do codify things within practice, and make it part of a business process whereby the business has to think about this because otherwise, um, they'll get fined by the particular state that they work in, or by the European state in this case. I mean, it's not at the same level of litigation or that has occurred in the States because it seems like the way everybody does things there sues each other.
Yeah.
Uh, But still, I have been hearing from certain customers that they're getting uh, they 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 have to respond to certain things that the government has already or individuals based upon the framework, and the framework have actually you know come to them and said this isn't working, and they sit
Yeah.
up and take notice because of the laws.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot about like, the web, and I think a lot of accessibility work is like inherently anti-capitalist, and like so we've tried to contort it into being like a vehicle to do a capitalism. Um, and so like I think that's one of the reasons why what we do is in the margins. And it's interesting when you think about it as like infrastructure, where like if you find a architect and you explain how the web is built to somebody like who can go to jail for building a building that kills people, like the way we build the web is so flimsy and crappy.
Yeah,
Like if these were houses, they'd be collapsing on people on the left and right.
yeah,
It's like without that regulation, there just honestly isn't a lot of reason for a profit motivated organization to give a shit.
yeah, yes, yes. Yeah, I used a recently used a one of these apps for getting food delivered.
Yep.
And well, it's actually my daughter was using it. She made an order, immediately realized that it was going to the wrong place.
There, yeah.
Yeah, they can't change it. I mean, I'm talking about instantly realized, oh, it's going to the wrong place. Weren't allowed to change it. So it ended up costing me 30 quid
Yep.
because food was delivered at 11 o'clock at night somewhere that didn't, and they couldn't.
The number of times, yeah, my buddy across town has gotten like some Thai food that he can't even eat. I'm just like,
Yeah,
sorry, man.
it's just like, I don't, that is just poor user, it's poor usability on the part of the app, but they and their processes, they don't seem to give a shit about it. Yeah, okay. Um, because it won't stop me using it, but it will mean that I spend money that I don't necessarily need to. But anyway, yeah, going back to me again. See, it's just this is just a vehicle for me to rave. That's all. Um, okay, next question. It's I'm talking still about depression, anxiety. I think. Do you think depression, anxiety, ADHD, etc., is more prevalent in accessibility workers?
Um, I don't know. I think like a lot of it I think is kind of parallel to the like autism conversations writ large, where it's like I don't know if it's an uptick in its prevalence as much as it is we as a society have better mechanisms for talking about it and identifying it. So like I do think there are more people in accessibility who have a personal connection to it. And that might be through ADHD and depression and anxiety, but I also think like we're probably net a little bit more equipped to talk about it than other folks, especially in a
Yeah,
professional context. Like,
yeah,
there's still a lot of danger in saying like, I have depression at work, where suddenly like HR is taking a real close look at you. Um,
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's one of yes. In general, when I was at TPG, my boss, Mike and Debs and Charlie knew about my struggles. Um, I didn't mention them once the TPG got bought by Vispero. I
yeah,
just, you know, but now I part owner of a company, so it doesn't,
you set
it's
the tone for
really
it.
is that how I treat the people that work for us
Yeah.
or I work with,
Well, like I see you and I raise you here, where it's like, I think like depression and like attention issues are double-edged swords, where it's like, a lot of, I think a lot of my like depression also opens the door to thinking critically about things because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not, and like that's really good if you work in software because like you think about failure paths, you think about non-ideal situations, you think about like how could this be abused or misused. And so for like somebody like me that like has to build a lot of things that I don't get to revisit and also get distributed at a global scale by like an unknown amount of people with an unknown amount of like things they need to do.
Hmm.
Um, that really is helpful for thinking through like exactly how can I make this as self-sufficient as possible in a way that like is accessible to the people that need it, but also serves the needs of like designers that just want to put a table on a website, and not think too hard about it.
Yeah.
Uh, and like the ADHD thing, like I don't know, jury's out, but like I since I can't visualize things, I think in like related concepts a lot. And so like I didn't realize this until way too late in the game, which is like, you know, those logical leaps may not occur to everyone around me. And so like one of the coping mechanisms I've cultivated is like explaining it. And I'll say like the connecting thought here is A to B. And like that's great for conversations with people when we're like talking about what should we get for dinner, and I suddenly start talking about like, I don't know, helicopters.
Hmm.
But like it's also helpful when you work in systems, which like surprise, all of the web is just systems all the way down. So like, you know, it giveth and it taketh away.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I'd ask that question myself. I was asking that question because, and I think that your answer is right. I think that there's more, um, there's more propensity to be able to talk about those, mental health, physical health, or whatever, in the accessibility space. Space. Yeah. I don't think necessarily. I suppose what I was trying to understand whether the job, is killing us, or is it, you know,
Yeah. It's not helping. Uh
no.
no, you gotta, I mean, that's another thing I talked about in that talk, which is like you gotta really like cultivate some strategies to like focus on how to take care of yourself before you can take care of somebody else. Because for people like us, this job will take and take and take and take and take,
Yeah,
and you need to figure out where that line is. And like having crossed that line, like you can give too much of yourself and then there's nothing left to give. And so
yeah.
like it's not selfish as much as it is like sustainable. And like I know I'm speaking in really general abstracts, but it's like the web never stops, the work never stops. Like so
No,
like
that's yeah, that is the thing. That's one of the things I realized in doing the stewardship of specifications at W3C is to think that you're going to be an editor for life or anything. It just doesn't work. I mean, the specifications live on, like HTML lives on past my direct
mhm,
involvement in it, lives on past, Ian Hickson, who was the great, sort of changer of the way HTML was developed. Um, but he saw himself as editor for life, or that's how he you know, and he burned out, I think, and just disappeared.
yeah. And like that's, like even on a good trajectory, like your average tenure in tech is like 2 to 3 years at a place, which is ridiculous. But like say I got hit by a bus tomorrow, like how is my place of employment going to sustain these practices without me? Like it's a savior complex and that sucks.
Yeah,
Like, fuck that.
yeah, definitely. Uh, I think we have time. We've been speaking for just over an hour,
Yeah,
but we have time for one more question.
do it, buddy.
Uh,
Get weird.
does spirituality, religion play a part in your work?
Damn, Steve. Going for the
Well, I'm
heart.
interested in that because I mean, myself, I don't have a I'm not religious,
Yeah.
but definitely my politics does play a part in my work. But I'm just interested because also I've worked with people that were highly religious,
Yeah.
and I just see how it's affected their outlook, or not affected the way that they act and towards other people.
Yeah. Okay. Well, speaking of savior complexes, so like I'm not religious. I said I was raised Jewish,
Yeah.
um, but I don't practice. I think there's different motivating factors for coming into this kind of work. But also if you look at the history of disability and religion, I think unfortunately the no word of saviorism pops up a lot, which has definitely altered the course of how we as a society talk about disability. And so I'm always a little nervous about that because, like, there's a direct line between, you know, institutionalization and religion and, like, speaking for an individual and what their needs are compared to letting the individual self, advocate.
Yeah.
And that runs a spectrum, but it's like, there's a world of difference between, somebody who just by virtue of accident of birth can't see versus somebody who may have a lot more, you know, what I would constitute as like severe needs. And so people coming into the work through the model of a savior mindset always make me ambiently a little nervous. In the same breath, I do know people who are religious, who do work in accessibility, and they're lovely, beautiful, wonderful human beings. It's just like,
Oh yeah. So do I. But what my experience has been that certain people that I actually don't think that conservative Christianity or conservative any religion has any place or is helpful in any way to the cause of supporting or increasing accessibility or decreasing the effects of disability, to be honest. But
Yeah.
that's my way. But then again, I had a boss for 15 years that was a, of a Christian church that I was thought was really fucked. And I still think they're fucked. I mean, I don't have, but that person always acted with integrity. I didn't even know that that person was in the church until a third person happened to mention it after 5 years of working with the person. And I've seen the person accept, sort of people that are profess themselves as Satanists,
Hmm.
such as I think it was a bit tongue in cheek, but that was Hayden Pickering, as was said that he
Don't
was,
say. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah, like I mean, I guess it's like, I promised you an overlay reference here, but it's like it's the same shit. Like who is getting centered and why? And like if it's centering somebody who is not disabled as an attempt to try to fix them,
yeah,
like I'm immediately like, well, that's sus as fuck. So
yeah, yeah. It's I suppose that what I'm trying to convey is that people can have their religious beliefs, but they can still support a humanist sort of
yeah.
philosophy, and they can still, people who have but have a religious belief, but then don't immediately make it their whole personality. It's
Mhm.
part of them, and that's great. But they still look at, they can still experience and get on with people many different types. But where I've found it to be a problem is that the person, it's obviously people have, this is like, well, I was going to say it's like racism, but it's not, because like I don't think any form of racism can actually have any positivity to it. But some forms of religion, some form of religious belief can.
Yeah.
But I find that certain people, and that it's the same thing. I just cannot understand how a person could be a racist, but then also be interested in supporting accessibility and
Yeah.
developing accessibility, and
Like people contain multitudes and sometimes not that's not the greatest thing. But yeah, I'm right there with you where I'm like, how did you wind up here?
yeah, yeah. Um, it was just that I I did some social media, but I think it was on LinkedIn, and I was talking about AI, because I haven't talked about AI with you, but I've talked about it with other people. But I did this post, and then somebody reposted it with the statement that, I'm sure that they're trying to help us with these tools by creating. This was about accessibility testing, and to think that somebody is actually I don't think they're doing it for a good motive. I don't think companies are doing it for a profit motive. Whether they, if it can have some, if the product can actually do something that it says it does, then that's a selling point. It's not about accessibility or disability. It's about making money, and it doesn't really matter what the product is. That's it. Whether it's an accessibility testing product or, you know whatever it is. It's about, what is the potential of that product to enrich the shareholders, which is
Yep.
unfortunate.
Yeah. I think like I mean there's definitely a world where you can have a business that's motivated by profit that puts something out into the world that like genuinely helps. It's like, and I know like when we're in our like I know it's such a buzzword, but like in shitified like late capital era where like there is a disconnect between the service you produce and the profit that comes in. That's when things get really screwy because like you've basically abandoned the reason you exist in the first place. And like we're seeing it all over the board. I think like the Campbell's soup thing being the most recent example of that, which is like at the end of the day, you make soup. You probably should care about the people that consume your soup. And
Sorry, I'm unaware of what happened with Campbell soup.
oh, just random exec went on this like racist, like classic
Ah,
tirade about the people that consumed his product. And it's like,
really?
talk about biting the hand that feeds you, man.
Yeah, exactly. It just yeah,
And it's just because like these concerns are now so abstract that like you forget at the end of the day, like you make soup. People drink, people eat soup.
yeah.
You should
Well, it's
probably,
just I mean the narrative, um, the the so-called Overton window for what's acceptable speech has widened massively in the States of late, hasn't it?
yeah,
So, I mean, it's widened here as well, but not to the extent. Like, it's not actually glorified. We don't
yeah.
have the government putting out ads, sort of glorifying the the rounding up of people and the deporting of people illegally and all these sort of things.
Well, I mean, you mentioned earlier like white dudes and accessibility, and like, hi, I'm one of them. Like,
Yeah.
never underestimate the power of as a tall white dude just saying, why would you say something like that? Like, I've popped that off in real life a few times, and like, it stops that shit cold and dead.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I definitely think that the onus is upon those of us with more privilege to call out that shit,
Yeah. And like,
because
obviously,
otherwise we're just
be safe about that. Like, don't universally apply to every situation you're in. Like,
no, no. Of
if you're
course.
in a
I
dive
mean,
bar where you don't know anybody versus like
yeah.
maybe on the train.
I mean, I've talked. I've drank in lots of bars during my life and been there, but I've managed so far not to. I've been in one fight during my adult life, and it wasn't really a big fight. So yeah, you really you need to know when to hold your words back for sure. But in certain circumstances, I think yeah, and wherever you can make a statement about something, to then you should.
Yeah.
So I you were talking about your talk, and I really enjoyed your talk at Accessory TO. It was definitely the highlight of Accessory TO for me,
Funny.
which is surprising because I don't normally sit through a lot, but I sat through the whole of your talk. I mean, you did mention me, which was nice, but that was a small part of the whole thing. But and I've said this to other people as well. I think I said it to Crystal, that one of the things that I got from your talk, which I hadn't understood, was about burnout and how it can affect um, people, accessibility people more. And the reason why I hadn't picked it up before was because I've never been in the situation where I've been the only accessory person in the room, I've always worked for organizations that help organizations, that provide services. So I've always been surrounded by other people that are involved in accessibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I mean, like in my current setup, like I I have peers that
Yeah.
and that's rare. But it's also like, you know, I
Sorry, my
come from
wife's just going to the doctors.
oh yeah, yeah. Hope they're
Yeah.
okay. Like I
Well,
come
it's
from
nice to have peers.
yeah, I come from a consulting background too, and like that definitely changes how you interact with folks, where like usually just say go do this, all right, bye, and like you're too expensive for them to like ignore you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is like, being paid for a service is a positive thing, because it means that they, the people that pay see a certain value in what the service you're providing, the information you're providing.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to thank you for that talk, because I really enjoyed it.
Oh,
Um, it yeah. Uh,
thanks for watching.
One of the things that I came away from that as well was better appreciation of the what burnout can do, but also that I just realized, well, I realized I see you as a web existentialist. So, like you just have that, like existential, as in Sartre and
Yeah, it's going right on the business card there.
yeah, yeah, but you do because it just because that talk that you gave that had a lot of obviously a lot of thought into it, and the sort of references and the sources that you were really well thought out, as well as it looked good because my presentations always look shit. So I appreciated seeing someone that can do it professionally, but. Yeah, it was. As I say, it was honestly it was. I'm not. No, I've got. I'm going to be speaking to Doug later, but I can't say that he's. I enjoyed seeing Doug because Doug Shepherds because I just think he's a real character, and also appreciate the fact that all the work he did on SVG, but um, it really made me into a bit of a Eric Bailey fan.
Oh, buddy. Big Fanny
So,
too.
but there's many other questions I could ask you, but as usual, time is was actually we've been going for an hour and a half. So I think that's more than enough definitely more than enough of me, probably enough of you at this point in time. And if you're willing, I'll have you back again to talk about something later on. If I can, I've always because it just takes such a lot of effort for me to actually do the post production. Hopefully, this one will be better. That's why I got rid of all that because it was just causing me conniptions.
Yeah,
Um, but as I said, uh, thank you for talking with me about these various subjects, and hopefully, you had an enjoyable time.
oh my gosh, highlight of my week. Thanks for giving me the chance to,
It's funny because I think you and I don't know, we don't know each other very well, and I think I got to know you a bit better at SVTO, but I think that both of us had different preconceptions about the other person. So, and I think that those, through actually talking and it wasn't negative preconceptions, just preconceptions about who the person is, from limited
yeah,
understanding. So I appreciate the opportunity to get to know you a bit better.
same buddy.
All right.
All right.
Well, as I said, I'll send you the details of this, and you can look at it in your own time and come back to me. And if you want to cut, unfortunately, you can't cut out anything that I say, but you can cut out anything. It'll just be me.
I mean,
If I had my way, it'll just be
yeah,
me
yeah, yeah.
talking.
Well, they cut out your hemorrhoids, so like what else can I cut?
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, yeah. I don't know how that came. It just remind. I had a wonderful time when I lived in Chippendale, this suburb of inner city suburb of Sydney, which is where the university was.
Yeah,
But yeah, I had a wonderful time. But that was many, many years ago now. So anyway, Eric, thank you again. And what's your dog's name?
chicken.
Chicken.
You want to know her full name?
Yeah.
Crispy Chicken Bacon Cheddar Ranch.
Ah.
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's like three and change.
So
They
she's
picked
still
her up on
fairly
the
young.
streets of the city when she was a pup, so we don't know her actual birthday.
Ah, right. So how long ago did you get her?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So you got her when she was a year and a bit.
Yep.
Cool. Well, give her a pat and a kiss and a hug from Uncle Steve. And hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Yeah. All right. Good to see you, man.
See ya.